To get started, I'm going to be using 1 pint of baby bell mushrooms. I'm just going to give them a rough chop, and then I am going to run them through my food processor. You could also just chop them by hand, but I want to finely mince them. I'm just going to use my food processor. And I'm also going to do the exact same thing to 1 small onion. Okay, so now that my onions and mushrooms are finely minced, I've also grated 2 medium carrots, and I've also minced 3 cloves of garlic. So now what I'm going to do is basically saute my mushrooms, onions, garlic, and carrots. I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of vegetable oil. You could also use butter. That also works well, and I'm going to start by sauteing and browning my minced mushrooms. And the object here is to get rid of most of the moisture that's released from the mushrooms. Ultimately, you want to end up with a nice sauteed paste-like texture to your vegetables. Okay, so now that this is nice and browned, I'm going to turn the heat off, and now I'm going to work on the meat mixture. Today, I will be using 2 pounds of lean ground beef and 1 pound of lean ground pork, and I have already combined them in a bowl. I am going to gently try to mix them or get a head start on mixing the meat. I don't want to overwork it at this point because I still have other things to mix in. Here I have 1 teaspoon of chopped fresh rosemary. I'm also going to add 1 teaspoon of chopped fresh thyme. And I'm going to be adding salt to taste. I have some cracked pink Himalayan salt. I'm going to be using a tablespoon of that. Now, you don't have to use that type of salt. Use what you have on hand. That was just on sale when I went to the market when I needed salt. Now, I'm also going to add some pepper. That is to taste. I think I added around a half teaspoon. And I'm also going to add the cooled saute that we did earlier of the mushroom, onion, carrot, and garlic. And now I am just going to mix and combine. And before I forget, I did not have fresh parsley to chop, but I do have dried parsley. So I'm going to add around a half teaspoon of dried parsley. I would also like to mention that because this is sort of a made-up recipe that I came up with as far as the meat mixture, you can season and add whatever you like to your meat, and you can use any type of ground meat that you like. Okay, so now that that is all mixed, I'm going to set it aside, and now it is time to work with my standing crust that I already prepared. It's time to take it out of its mold, and there we go. And if you want that recipe, wait till the end of this video. I'll leave the video icon that you can click on, and it'll take you straight there. So now I am just going to take the meat mixture and place it into my standing crust. And if you have not read what's in the description box, I mentioned that the inspiration for me coming up with this meat pie is because I rewatched season 6 of Game of Thrones, the TV series. I'm a fan of that. And in the last episode, there was a meat pie, and I'm not going to spoil it for you if you've not seen it or you don't want to know about it, but there just was a meat pie. I got hungry, and this is why I came up with this recipe. So whether you are a fan of the TV series Game of Thrones or you just always wanted to try to make a meat pie, here you go. And again, this is my first time ever making a meat pie, so trust me, there are mistakes to be made and to be learned from. But, you know, why not show it to the rest of the world? Maybe you guys can learn and make a better one. So here we go. Now that the meat is stuffed into the standing crust, I'm just going to top it off. And again, for the recipe for the crust, I will leave a video icon at the end of this video. You can click on it and watch how I make this beautiful standing crust. Okay, so what I'm doing now is just trimming up the excess dough from the top, and then I'm just going to prepare this meat pie for the oven. Okay, so I have egg washed the entire meat pie, and now I am going to create a ventilation hole at the top of the pie crust. And I'm just going to make an X and then fold back each little point to create an open section to allow any steam to escape from the pie as it bakes. And I will be baking this pie in a preheated oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 1 hour and 20 minutes. It has been 1 hour and 20 minutes exactly. I am now going to remove my meat pie from the oven, and I am going to allow it to rest. Now, I allowed my meat pie to rest for like an hour and a half, but you typically want to let it rest for at least 2 hours, probably 6 to 8 for best results. And I will show you why 6 to 8 hours would probably work best for this pie to rest. Remember I said there were mistakes to be made? Yeah, I'll show you in a bit. But first, I'm going to make a gravy. Here I have 1 cup of beef stock, 4 tablespoons of water, and 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. And I'm going to place the stock in a small saucepan and bring it to a simmer. And while that is coming to a simmer, I'm going to mix my water and cornstarch and make a slurry. And then once my beef stock is up to a simmer, I'm going to add the slurry, allow it to thicken, and take it off the heat, and my gravy is done. I did read somewhere, because I did a lot of reading, that meat pies, or like pork meat pies, you would dissolve a sheet of gelatin inside hot broth, and then you would pour that into the baked pie and allow it to set overnight. And then that gelatin and stock would congeal inside the meat pie and kind of make like this stock jelly inside the meat pie to help retain moisture. But I didn't do that. So you can most definitely do that. And I will put some links below that will take you to a video and maybe a blog. I think I found a blog that'll show you how to do these meat pies. So again, for best results, you want to allow the meat pie to cool for at least 6 to 8 hours overnight for best results. But let me show you what happens when you are impatient like I am and you cut open into it and it hasn't set long enough. All those delicious juices just spill out into the pan. So you might want to let it rest for more than an hour and a half to 2 hours. I would say at least 6. So I'm still going to cut a slice. I'm hungry, and I am actually going to serve this alongside some fresh green peas and that delicious beef stock gravy that I made. And dinner is served. As always, the ingredients and measurements will be located in the description box below this video. So I hope you give this recipe a try. I hope you like it, and thanks for watching! Hey guys, you can click on the video icons for more recipes, or you can click on my picture icon to subscribe. Thanks for watching!